Well, we'll talk about a really serious subject here, and it's one that probably doesn't get enough attention for a lot of people. But Tam's with us to talk about domestic abuse. We're going to do 2 interviews, but this first one is about how you're going to be able to train people in the workplace to be the sort of champion, I suppose, someone, a go-to person who understands the situation and can provide some help. Is that right?
That's right, yes. Jess Welch and I are Space4Action, and we provide training. So far we've trained the housing officers on the Isle of Man in the public sector housing, so that they can support tenants better and know how to spot the signs of domestic abuse in their properties. And what we want to do is a scheme where we train business people to understand domestic abuse, understand what their employees or clients are going through, understand better how to support them, what to say, what not to say, what help to direct them to. You might need special allowances in the workplace, time off to go to court, for example, or to attend hospital appointments. So we just want to really increase understanding. And there's been a lot of focus in recent years on workplace well-being and mental health. A lot of workplaces have champions for mental health or for well-being, but we think domestic abuse is an integral part of that. Equally, another thing is that workplaces have training, mandatory training on fire safety, first aid, health and safety, that kind of thing, which is important. But your staff are actually much more likely to be affected by domestic abuse than they are to be involved in a fire. So we think businesses need to take this just as seriously and provide training.
So you said spotting the signs.
Yeah.
So who goes first? Do you go to somebody who think there may be a problem, or do you have to wait for them to come to you? It must be tricky, isn't it?
Well, our scheme is called Ask and Act, so we would like people to ask the question, not be afraid to ask the question. Mm-hmm. You know, if you are experiencing abuse, you find it very, very hard to tell anyone. You feel, especially if it's psychological abuse, you feel like no one will listen, no one will understand, no one will believe you. So you don't speak, but quite often it just takes one person to say, "Are you okay?" And then it all comes spilling out. And once you've told one person, it's much easier to tell other people. I always give my own example. It was my neighbour one day who just said to me, "Is everything okay?" And I didn't even know her very well, but I just told her, "No, it isn't." And I told her the basics of what was happening. And once I'd told her, then I found that I was able to tell domestic abuse workers and the police and everyone else, other friends and neighbours that I hadn't told till that point. And it meant then there was a crowd of people around me all watching out for me and watching out for my children and keeping us safe. And that makes a huge difference. You know, we tend to hide it and keep it secret, but actually, for safety reasons, it's much better to have loads of people out there that know and that are keeping an eye open. And we'd like workplaces and employers to be keeping that eye open as well. And also, people need to understand it's not just the person who's experiencing abuse who might be in your workplace has issues that they need help with, but potentially the rest of their colleagues are also at risk because the abusive person could come to the workplace, could cause problems there, could be stalking the victim, waiting outside the workplace. You know, there have been cases where, one woman I know, Rachel Williams in Wales, her ex-partner came to her workplace with a shotgun and shot her, but also shot some of the customers and clients. That's obviously an extreme case, but things like that could happen. And I think workplaces need to be better informed and prepared and have safety plans, really.
So how do you get people? How do you get into the workplace? Do you put up posters, or do you have?
Well,
training?
We're holding a launch event,
right.
Which we're inviting businesses to. We have got an invitation list, and we'll be sending invitations out. But if any company wants, to get in touch with us and ask for an invite, then please do. It's going to be at the Innovation Centre in Ramsey on October the 21st. So that will be a way of getting ourselves known to businesses, and we'll have sign-up sheets there on the night. Anyone can also get in touch with us through the website. And basically, we would go into the workplace, give some training, hopefully get some people interested, either personally interested or with people they could nominate to be the workplace champion. That would be the go-to person in the workplace if you had domestic abuse problems. Because for one thing, you don't want to have to tell your story again and again and again to loads of different people. But if you've told it to that key person in the workplace who can then negotiate with your manager for you, or, if you're late, ensure that you're not disciplined for being late, but there is a reason and that people understand why you're late or why you're absent. But as part of the training, we're going to have a range of posters. So workplace will be able to put posters. Hopefully, we'll have general ones, but hopefully we might have some that are specifically relevant to a particular workplace. A key example is we want a scheme running in hairdressers and beauticians. That's been done in quite a lot of countries around the world and worked really well. And it's really good. It's really easy to have hairdresser posters with sort of pun things like "cut it out" and we care about more than just your hair, that kind of thing. So hopefully we will have a range of posters that will suit the workplace. And with hairdressers, we want to train them up to understand it for helping potential clients really as much as anything. And they'll be able to display a sticker in their window that shows that they have had training, they do understand, and that a client could disclose safely in that hairdresser, and the hairdresser will be able to signpost them to sources of help. Such
a big subject. We're going to do a second interview, but on this one for the launch and everything, numbers, contacts, websites, what do you do?
We've got a Facebook page, which is Space4Action. We've got a website, which is www.space4action.info. Or you can email contact@space4action.info, and it's the number 4.
And your launch event is when?
October the 21st.